Damon Wayans Jr. is my special guest here, and he's going to be at Summit City Comedy Club next week, October 5th through the 7th. Man, welcome to the show. So great to have you here.
Man, thank you for having me. It is wonderful to be a part of this show.
Wow, that's some pretty high praise.
Yeah, man.
You got to get everybody to say that when they come on. So,
no, I was reading off a paper. I had written it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, if I can get people to just read off a paper, that'd be great too. But man, looking forward to having you in town. I mean, you know, obviously the family name goes, it's like comedy royalty, I guess you could say, with, I mean, so many of your family involved in the business, your dad, of course. Man, I remember watching my wife and kids. It was like every week we'd love that show. And it was always like, hey, we got to, you know, just set the timer, make sure we're watching this, or, you know, set the VCR, I think at that point, you know.
Yeah, that was my first gig. That was my first writing gig. I was a punch-up writer, which is basically all you do is pitch jokes.
Yeah.
You stand on the sidelines, and in between takes, you just pitch jokes. And so that's where I got my footing first. Before I even did stand-up, I was just like, oh, I like to write jokes. And then it kind of transferred over to the stage.
That's awesome. And you also played a character on the show for like a bit part or something too, didn't you?
Yeah. I played the friend of the son on the show, which is weird because the show is based off of kind of me.
Right.
The kid's name is Junior. and they took, you know, a lot of, you know, pieces of my life to make that character. He's a lot dumber than I was, but I'll take that.
Oh, of course, yeah, right.
yeah. And but my dad and I, we're actually doing a show. You know, thank goodness the writer strike is over, but we're producing a show together that's going to be on CBS. So
no kid. What's the show?
Father-son show. It's called I think it's called Papa's House right now, and it's basically, you know, a guy who's, you know, been divorced for a while, enjoying his solitude, and then his family moves in next door, which is me and my wife. And our two children, and we just, you know, make his life a living hell, and that's the show pretty much.
So you guys are both on the show, then, not just writing for it. You're both on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, father son. Yeah.
And they'll be on this fall.
Yeah. I mean, well, hopefully. I mean, who knows? Everything got messed up with the strikes. So, you know, hopefully, but if not, it'll be, you know, early next year.
Oh, we'll be looking forward to that. Damon Wayans Jr. on the show here with me at K105. And, you know, obviously, you know, my wife and kids, and now this new show. And my daughter, it was a couple weeks ago, she texted me. She goes, hey, did you see this? I want to go. He's in town. And I'm like, you know, she goes, yeah, I watch New Girl all the time. I know who it is. I was like, holy cow. It's so funny because, you know, talking about watching my wife and kids, you know, when we were younger, and then now my daughter's watching you in another show, and now you get another show coming out. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. I'm just thankful to be sticking around, man. You know, it's truly a blessing to be able to continue to entertain people and be fun doing it. You know.
You guys do a great job. Is there I mean, there's got to be a little competition between not only the family, but specifically you and your dad. There's got to be a little competition, right?
I feel like the only competition happens like immediately, right? So if we're, you know, hanging out and then somebody makes a joke, somebody always wants to top that joke.
Oh, sure.
I feel like that's the only time. It's like, and then there's sometimes where like the whole family's together and then like one person is just on fire and we know to step back and let that person just rip. And that's just kind of how it goes.
That is hilarious. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like watching, you know, sports now. I see so many of these, you know, the stars of today. Man, I watched their dads play, you know, like Vlad Guerrero, and now Junior's playing, and, you know, all this, it's just wild, you know? So,
it's really cool. It's really cool, like seeing the second gen step in, you know?
Yeah. And so I'm guessing that, you know, your kids down the road will probably just take the baton from you and then take it from there, right?
Yeah. I'll gladly pass the baton as long as they're having fun, man. You gotta have fun, you know? Comedy, I feel like, is kind of like, it's not kind of, it's essential, you know, to the human existence. So I would love for them to continue to entertain and be funny, you know, and make some money while they do it.
Yeah, know? Exactly. Yeah, they got to have that, right?
Yeah.
Damon Wayans Jr. on the show with me, going to be at Summit City Comedy Club next week. Get your tickets. Now, you've done so many things, stand-up, you've done TV, and and different things. You've also done voice work. You were in Big Hero 6. I'm watching, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my
man.
gosh. And then I can hear your voice now that I know who it is. It's crazy.
It was really cool. You know what was cool about Big Hero 6 is like, I saw it, like the screening of it. And then a couple of months later after the movie came out, they were like, hey, you want to come to the Oscars? And we're like, why? They're like, it's nominated. I was like, cool. Not thinking that they was going to win, and it freaking won, dude. I was like, wow, I was a part of something that won. I mean, I didn't win it, but
yeah, but still,
I got to touch the trophy a couple of times.
You're part of the team that did it, right?
yeah.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Very cool.
With go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, I've actually added one thing to my repertoire.
Yeah.
I'm hosting this game show that my production company is producing. It's called Raid the Cage, and it's basically it's like this giant room. It's like two teams of two compete with each other to kind of like try and raid this cage full of like thousands of dollars worth of prizes, and you get to watch them like literally loot on television. And it's really fun. It's really fun. There's super expensive prizes. Like there's iPads, there's Mac Pros, there's a frickin' BMW that they can push out of the cage.
Oh my
and you get like a certain amount of time, and if you don't get your stuff out in time, the cage closes and you lose everything. It's so much fun. And people act like insane human beings when they're in that cage.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's awesome. That comes out October 13th. So it's soon.
So a week after you're in town, we'll be able to see you again.
Yeah.
That's on CBS as well?
Yeah, man. Because, my production company's over at CBS. So pretty much everything that I'm doing right now is over there.
So I'm guessing on the show, Raid the Cage, that it's better to go and get the big stuff first before the cage closes, right?
I mean, that's what I would do. I always thought that's really good. That's what I was always thinking. And people like grab those small things because you have to take whatever you can hold.
Right.
If you can't hold it, or if you can't put the stuff that you want inside something big and push it out, then it's like you only have two arms. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes when you get in there and you only have like 30 seconds to grab as much as you can, it's like your mind goes blank and you're just scrambling. There's so many options,
It's like somebody
when you're like little, when you were little and like your mom was like, pick one toy.
Yeah.
Like you're like, one? There's so many.
Yeah, there are. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So, oh, that's great. Damon Wayans Jr. is on the show. We're talking about just as many Wayans as there are. I just thought this was perfect that for the 3 days that you come into our town, we should rename it Fort Wayans, Indiana.
Fort Wayans, Indiana.
I mean, right?
I mean, I'm sure some people would be against that, but I'm all for it.
I mean, I know the mayor pretty well, but you may get in touch with him and say, hey, issue a proclamation. Damon's coming to town just for 3 days.
For 3 days, it's Fort Wayans, Indiana.
Yeah.
That is perfect.
And then we can just announce it on CBS while you're here. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
I love your ideas, man.
Excellent.
Love your ideas. These are great Thursday ideas.
Well,
I
good.
mean, Friday. I mean, I don't know when you're going to post it.
They're great today ideas is what they are.
Today. These are amazing today ideas.
Yes, exactly. So, as I mentioned off air, we do Dad Joke Friday every once in a while on my show where I'll tell a few dad jokes, and we have listeners call in to tell dad jokes to win tickets to see you this time around. So, I don't know if you have a specific dad joke or a couple go-tos that you have, or you just want to make a joke about your dad. I'd love either one of those things if you could do one for me.
Dad joke. I don't know. I mean, I have one, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Okay. Do you have a joke about your dad? Maybe that could be
joke about my dad.
That could be our dad joke.
Joke about my dad. Let me think. I mean, I have tons of jokes about my dad, but I don't know if they're like one-liners.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
We'll make an exception on behalf of you coming to Fort Wayans.
Okay. Well, my dad, he told me he talked to me about the birds and the bees a little too late in life. I remember him sitting me down and he was like, son, when a man and a woman really love each other, oh, she's already pregnant? Oh, it's a girl? Well, congratulations.
I love how you morph into your dad, too. It's just like, you just turn it on and turn it off, right?
Yeah, put a little Major Payne in there.
Oh, my gosh.
It is my business.
Man, it's a pleasure talking to you, and continued success with everything you're doing. We'll be watching CBS, I guess, all fall just to see all your stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Be watching you next week at Summit City Comedy Club, October 5th through the 7th. Get your tickets now. Damon, thanks so much for coming on, bud.
Man, thank you so much for having me, bud. Appreciate you.
Podcasts by Federated Media.